Hello everyone, Mark here. Welcome to a Thermal Expansion 3 Resonant Rise tutorial guide. I'll be going through most of the mods that are in Resonant Rise. And today I'll be doing Thermal Expansion as the start to this series, as it's a mod pack that's that's very well used. It's very cool actually. And it's actually not quite that difficult to use once you learn how to do it. So why don't we jump right into it. So the first thing that you're going to have when you load up a thermal expansion world and generate a new world is there's going to be 5 different types of ores that thermal expansion itself will add. 4 of them are kind of similar between a bunch of mods. You know, you have like 20 different coppers in every mod. But one of them at the end is a unique mod to thermal expansion. And it's going to be quite helpful when you're trying to build later on items. So first you're going to have your standard, your copper, your tin and silver, and lead, but at the very end you'll have your ferrous ore, and this is a ore unique to thermal expansion, and you're going to see on later why it's helpful. Alright, but now once you've mined up these ores, you're going to want to be able to process them, but to process them you're going to need power. So when we get on to different forms of power generation, these things are so cool. They kind of act as a battery and a power station at the exact same time, and they only take up 1 block, and they're super easy to use. The amazing thing about thermal expansion is it's very user friendly. There's GUIs, helpful tips, very easy to use. So the first type of power generation is going to be called steam dynamos. Oh, by the way, these are all called dynamos. They used to be called, I don't even remember, but now they're called dynamos. So the first one's a steam dynamo. It works by taking some sort of coal fuel. So this is coal, coke, and if you have other mods, possibly any other type of coal fuel that you use, and then you have to have water because it's a steam dynamo. So if we go in here and we take out the coal and the water and we look in here, you can see there's 2 liquid slots and then a solid fuel slot. So if we use our bucket of water and we give it some water, you can see now we have some water in our steam dynamo, and if we put coal in, you can see it consumes the coal, starts burning it, consumes water, generates steam, and now we're also generating tons of power. The thing about this is, as you can see, once you have it running longer and longer, the steam generation rate goes up and you'll generate more power more quickly, but you can see the water is being consumed at a quite fast rate. Also, the internal battery of these dynamos isn't the greatest, so we'll talk about this later. I recommend you should probably have this hooked up to some sort of water source. Oh, it stopped because the coal ran out. You can have some sort of pump somewhere that's constantly pumping water into it, but you will probably and definitely need some sort of external water source. It'd just be way too much maintenance to constantly pump water buckets into here. Next up, we have the magmatic engine. Now this thing is probably the most maintenance-free power generation you will ever come across. This is where you'll use your ferrous ore because you need invar from that. However, all you need for the magmatic engine is either lava or some pyromethium fuel that is added in by thermal expansion. But you can just use lava itself. In fact, you can go to the nether actually, just make a pump and pump lava directly into this thing. It's very cool. So we'll do that right now. So we can take out the lava. Now, lava doesn't produce as much power as pyromethium, but you know, it's maintenance free. You just pump up lava from the nether, bam, done. And you just put the lava in, there you go. It doesn't even overheat. So there, now we're generating power at the cost of lava. The lava does go down at a fairly slow rate. It goes down even slower than the water does in the steam dynamo. But look at this power. Like, the battery is not great, but we're producing a fair bit of power. Like, if you can get this early game, it's very powerful and can help you out a lot. Alright, but next up we have the compression dynamo. Now the compression dynamo requires a little more maintenance or a little more automation, and it's a little more difficult to use, but can produce a lot more power. Now the internal battery is the same, but it works by taking 2 sorts of liquid fuels. Now you'll need a liquid fuel and a liquid fuel coolant. You need one of each. And I have 3 examples so you can see here, fuel bucket. Now if you look below the fuel bucket name, you can see BC energy, and then there's how much energy it does in a force engine, and then you see 1.5 million RF, and then in brackets beside that you can see compression dynamo fuel. that means this will act as a fuel in the compression dynamo. Whereas if we go over to say this ice barrel, you can see 20 mil RF compression dynamo coolant. So you can see this will act as a coolant. If you want to see everything that can act as a fuel and a coolant, if you come down to the search box in NEI, you can actually just type in compression dynamo, and it'll actually show everything that can be used as a fuel and coolant, because the NEI tab doesn't just search for the name, it searches for any other information. So it will be searching for compression dynamo underneath the items. So this is everything that can be used as, you can even use bottles of enchanting as fuel and compression dynamo. So that's pretty cool, I think. And these things will produce a little more power than other fuel options, such as those two. But you know, it's a little more maintenance heavy. Oh, you can see this magmatic engine still has lava left. It's full up even. Very cool. Last but not least, we have the reactant dynamo. The reactant dynamo is similar to the compression, except instead of using 2 liquid fuels, it uses a solid fuel and just it uses liquid fuel, but it's nowhere, these liquids aren't anywhere near related to the ones you have to use in that one. So there's only 4 types of solid fuels you can use, and the 4 types, assuming thermal expansion is the only other mod installed. I'm not sure if other mods also add fuels you can use, but the 4 fuels you can use are sugar, gunpowder, blaze powder, and then nether stars. Oh boy, nether stars. Now these range from least amount of power generation to most amount of power generation, being the nether star producing much more power generation. It doesn't say how much, but it's much more than sugar. I can guarantee you that. Now, so you put those in here, and then if you come over here, you can see you can use energized glowstone and destabilized redstone, which are part of thermal expansion. But now here's some other fuels that are within the Resonant Rise pack that you can also use as a liquid fuel. So there's crease oil from Railcraft, sewage bucket, get rid of all your sewage from Mine Factory Reloaded. You can use mob essence for Mine Factory Reloaded, a sludge bucket, you know, when you have all your machines producing all the excess sludge you don't know what to do with, and even a biomass from forestry. So if we can actually just test this, you can take out a nether star, and why don't we use a redstone? You can put the nether star in here, put the redstone in, and boom. You can see we're producing RF. Now, the redstone doesn't go down at a very fast rate, but you can see this thing is flying up, and the nether star will last for a long time. So this will fill up quickly, and the nether star power will be going to waste. So I do recommend that you... So all this excess power, and you can see in the magmatic engine too, this lava is just going to waste. So we're going to need somewhere to store all of this power, and that I've got for you right here. And in fact, not just storing power, but storing items and liquids too. This part I think is really, really cool. So the form of storage, or for energy anyway, in thermal expansion is energy cells. And you have 4 tiers. You got the leadstone, hardened, redstone, and resonant, going from leadstone being the least amount of energy at the least input and output, to resonant being the highest in the highest input and output. So how these things work is they do have a front to them, and you can tell because the front kind of has these lines on them, and then the sides, they're kind of redstone, and they're more or less, they're kind of see-through, at least on the resonant one they are. So that's how you're supposed to be able to tell where your inputs and outputs are, because to charge these you're going to have to input power into them. So if you look on the configuration tab, let's just change the left side. So if we go, so we're standing at the front, we can change the left side. So if we change the left side to orange, now you can see these corner pieces are orange, and we can change them back to clear again. See, now they're clear. So put them back to orange. Orange will output power, meaning so once you attach some sort of power pipe to these, now they will output power. Whereas if you go blue, now blue means the energy cell will accept in power. So it's quite simple to use, really. If you're not sure which one's which, just try one. If it doesn't work, try it the other way. It's not terribly difficult. And then these can also be powered by redstone. So even if it's set to output, and you can set it so that it requires a redstone signal to be active. So even if it does say it can output, you can just turn them off anyway. And a super cool thing about these is the front panel also shows the charge of the cell. So all of these cells you can see are fully charged. But if you go to this one, you can see, wait a minute, it's not fully charged. It's about just under a quarter. And it'll also show the charge down here in the little box. And also on the front panel, you'll see that the bottom 2 lines are powered, showing the charge, but these, like the top 8, are not. And the super cool thing about these is, unlike a lot of other mods, kind of power blocks, not like batteries, because obviously those are meant to transport power. But a super cool thing about these is if you use the thermal expansion crescent hammer, which is the wrench of thermal expansion, and shift right click on this, it will pop off, and you can actually keep this, and wherever you place it back down again, it will retain its power. So that's very, very handy. For item storage, thermal expansion adds in strong boxes. Now, although these aren't highly practical on single player servers, because single player worlds, because look at these, the item slots in this. They're super practical on servers that maybe don't have the best security, or you just have someone who wants to troll you around and whatnot. Regardless, you can completely lock them to owner only or restricted. And if you put them to owner only you are able to access it. Only you can break it. Only you. Other people can't even blow it up with 5,000 nukes. Only you have access to that chest. Your items are perfectly safe, which can be very helpful. And it puts this like diamond colored lock on it, and we'll just put it back to keep the colors the same. But then you have this normal strong box, the hardened strong box, reinforced, and resonant. You can see resonant does have a pretty substantial inventory size. So these can be pretty cool on servers, and you can place them right next to each other. Whereas normal chests, you kind of have to have a one gap between every double chest. When it comes to liquids, it works very similarly to the power cells, or the cells for energy, and they're called portable tanks. And now they don't have the same kind of capacity as massive railcraft tanks, where they can hold up to hundreds of thousands of millibuckets of some fuel or whatnot. These things are portable. It's enough said. So very simple. If you want to input fuel, blue is always go in, red or orange is always go out. So you'll always be able to input in the top, but then if you just right click on the bottom, it will change the color from input, output, input, output, input, output. Now, a cool thing about these is you can see I have a tank here with already a liquid in it, and if I shift right click, it has to be a shift right click. If you destroy it with a pickaxe, if you destroy those with a pickaxe or something else, you will lose the liquid or the energy that you have stored up in there. But this will actually maintain the liquid that is already in the tank, hence the name of the portable tank. And you can take these around anywhere you want. It's a good way to kind of empty the liquid out of your Tinker's Construct, because it's quick, it's easy, and then you could just dump it right back in there when you want to. So this is the first part. I think we'll stop here. The second part, we'll kind of go over the machines, and we'll clear up some confusion, and we'll show you some cool things about the machines that you can do. So come back for all the machines later, and I hope you enjoyed it.